There we go. Try not to call Dave Jenny while you're at it. All right, I think we are live. Here we go.
It is time for the Midlife Hockey Crisis Beer League podcast, brought to you by WinningSynthetics.com, your one-stop for all things answer, and HockeyArsenal.com. Now, here are your hosts, TJ Hunter and Dave Dickerson. Take it away, boys.
All right, thank you so much, Kelly. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another exciting, action-packed, fun-filled episode of Midlife Hockey Crisis, the Beer League podcast. We are on the air. We're on Zoom today. So the whole COVID thing's still messing with our production value, but I think we got some good content for you. My name is TJ Hollingsworth, joined as always by the man, the myth, the legend. I'm speaking, of course, about Dangling Dave Dickerson. Dave, what's up, my friend?
Hey, folks. How are you doing? What's up, TJ? How are you, man?
Everything good, man. Everything good. I'm just kind of battening down the hatches here in central Indiana. As we record this on a Tuesday night, we have the remnants of the latest hurricane blowing through. And it's kind of calm right now, but for about the last 15 or 20 minutes, it's been like gale-force winds blowing. And I was afraid I was going to have to move location because it'd be too loud. But I think we're going to be all right.
I see that, man. I'm out in my garage. I'm looking right out, and it's getting a little dark. Getting a little dark over there.
Right on. Well, we lost our guest, but he's popped right back in here. And he's kind of sideways on us there. All right. Well, join us on the show. There he is. He's up right now. If you're watching this on YouTube, he is now in the vertical position, which is going to work a lot better for my – don't do that, man. I will throw up. I just have to –
You're on like a roller coaster.
Joining us on Zoom and a first-time guest here, the one and only, the amazing Anwar Eaton. Anwar, how are you doing this evening, my friend?
I'm doing good. Drink some Pink Whitney, hang out with you guys.
Yes. Amen. Right here.
Yeah.
Now, just to give you some idea how weird hockey players are, if you happen to be listening to this, if you're not a hockey person, perhaps somebody sent you a link to this podcast or you're just trying to figure it out. Hockey players will embrace anything that is the least bit hockey related. Now, the drink in question the boys are talking about is what I would call a foo-foo drink. It should have a little umbrella in it and a cherry hanging out of it. It's called New Amsterdam. But, Dave, tell everybody why you guys drink it.
Dude, so it's, I would love to say rivals. I wish we were that big. But Barstool Sports put it on. Just kind of a collab, essentially. I'm just sitting here looking at the bottle. I've not actually stared at it. But Spit and Chicklets is their go-to, folks.
And what's on the label in particular?
Yeah, all over the label. I mean, there's some jerseys. I think there's the Chicklets fellas, main logo. Anything.
Yeah, pink hockey helmet.
Yeah, just a bunch of stuff on there. And because it has something hockey-related, all of us just kind of jump on the board.
It's the unofficial Highlander drink of the quarantine.
The Highlander.
It's been the quarantine beverage of choice for all of us.
And for those of you who don't know, Anwar and Dave and I all play on we have our own little travel tournament team, which I think has just recently been renamed on Instagram, if I'm not mistaken, the Indianapolis Highlanders Hockey Club.
Yeah, we put it as Indy. Yep.
Excellent choice, because I think the Halifax thing was kind of confusing everybody, including my wife, who was like, we don't live in Halifax. I said, hun, don't worry about it. They drink this weird stuff. We'll figure it out later.
The funny thing is we're the Indy Highlanders. I don't think any of us live in Indy.
No. We all live in suburbs. We all live north of Indianapolis. I think I'm probably not as far north as anybody, about 20 miles, but it gets a little closer as we go down. I'll tell you what, let's get this thing started. I always ask this of our guests to come on, because we have a lot of people, I think, that are new to beer league hockey and new to hockey in general. So, Anwar, let's start with everybody. Tell everybody your name and what you do for a living, and then also, how did you get into hockey?
So, my name's Anwar. I've been playing hockey for, 3-4 years now. I've kind of always wanted to play growing up. I remember when we had the Indianapolis Ice or Indy Ice, Indian Ice, whatever the actual more professional team version was. I used to go all the time as a kid. kind of always got into hockey like since I was younger. But not in the cards for my parents wanting to pay for that. So, like 4 years ago, I went on a streak of like trying new things, and I was like, I'm gonna go and try hockey. Like I already knew how to skate. I at least did that growing up, and I was like, let me give hockey a try, have some money. So let's go and do that. So I joined the Fishers, Learn to Play. I met Jimmy Mack, who's probably been mentioned 1,000 times in this podcast.
Been a guest on the show. Deadliest skater.
And then Jeff Francisci, both of them, great people, met them, and just like picked it up from there. Joined the Carmel League, eventually joined back with the Fishers League. But yeah, just kind of got it rolling, started playing.
Let's back that up a little bit. You said something very interesting. You said you already knew how to skate. And again, Central Indiana, not a hockey hotbed by any stretch of the imagination, at least for you. There seems to be a pretty growing and vibrant adult hockey scene here. And we'll talk about that maybe a little later. But I'd like to know, what was your introduction to ice skating, and how long had you been skating before you decided to give hockey a shot?
So let's see. Probably like 5th grade.
So quite a while.
Yeah. So like it was like always like Christmas time, wanted to go skating. One of my Christmas gifts was like ice skates. And just like growing up, I've just kind of, whenever I could find ice time to go skate, I would just go do that. It wasn't like as much as it is now as an adult, but every couple months or whatever, I'd go skating. Kind of like a fun activity for me and my family. Mm-hmm. And then as I grew up and I eventually like was in high school, I kind of hang out with some of the hockey players in high school. And when they had like skates or whatever, after game, I would go do those and stuff like that. So, yeah.
So cool. Would you call your family a hockey family? You said you were a fan growing up. You used to go to games. Is that something you did with friends, or is that something your family got involved?
My parents took me. That's probably the most accurate answer there.
Were they hockey fans, or were they taking you just to shut you up?
Just take me to shut me up. Like, young kid who wants to go see hockey games. They're like, we'll go with you. It's freaking cold. I don't want to go, but we'll go with you. Let's put it this way. They don't want to go to hockey games now.
Gotcha. Growing up high school as a kid, did you play any other sports, or what was kind of your thing back in the day in middle school, high school?
Yeah, so I grew up middle school playing lacrosse, playing football, kind of phased out of those, went into theater, very active sport there, doing sound for theater and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Awesome. So cool. I'm real curious. Go ahead, Dave.
Oh, no, I was going to say, Anwar, tell us and tell everybody else, who do you follow in hockey professionally, let's just say, and why? We give you crap for it, but still respectable.
Fleury? Marc-Andre Fleury is like my favorite player.
I mean, just in general, like, who's your NHL team? Fleury? Yeah, you do have the jersey.
Yeah, do we go put it on? I can go run, put that on right now. It's on my phone. I'll go and show my newest poster.
Okay, there you go. Right, hanging up right in the living room. Autograph? Yeah. Is that autograph?
Yeah. Well, it's like a fake autograph kind of thing, but it's just 400.
For those who are listening and not seeing the audio portion of this, there's a framed Marc-Andre Fleury. I guess you call it like a hero card or something like that. Hang up Anwar's right in the living room. So it's
dead center too. It's not off to the side. That's point blank right there.
I call that a major piece of your home decor. Is that Marc-Andre Fleury picture?
This is actually my bedroom, so it makes it a little better.
Okay. It's above his bed for those of you guys who can't.
Now here's the funny thing, Anwar, you must be a goaltender, right?
Nope. I want to play goal, but I also don't want to pay for goalie equipment. So it's kind of always been a battle.
He did don the gear during a tournament one time during practice.
Yeah, and Justin was like rocketing him like towards me when I didn't have a cup on. So
yeah, it took some shots.
So cool. So you're in the computer and internet world. I'm curious. What are your non-hockey friends, family, work associates? What's their reaction when they find out you're a hockey player?
I feel like it's for friends and stuff like that, it always takes them a bit. Like they're like, because like when I started this job, I'm like, I have 3 hockey tournaments right before this stupid virus, and I put those on my calendar. I'm like, I'm out those days. They're like, are you going to a tournament? Like just watching? I was like, no, I'm gonna go play. So it's like an explanation. Like you always have to explain it. Like, no, I play hockey. I play in local leagues, and it's like I think there's like a disconnect generally for like these like niche adult sports, how they work and stuff like that. So especially since we have the Highlanders, who's kind of like this separate thing that we do.
Right.
And we travel a little bit more, so it seems like we're more professional than we are.
Little do they know.
We really do.
Well, for those folks, like I said, that aren't watching the video on this, or maybe they didn't pay much attention to the picture of the download. The other part of this that would maybe make some people's reaction a little different is the fact that, Anwar, you're an African American, which is a rarity in the world of hockey, probably even more rare here in Indianapolis, because I believe there's just yourself and maybe one other fellow that we play with or that plays our rink there, African American. The reason I wanted to have you on here is it just seems like there's been the double whammy. There was a article floating around that just happened to get posted on social media by Akeem Alou, who plays for the Montreal Canadiens, about some of the racism that he had dealt with his entire hockey career from the time he was a child up to the current. And then, of course, with all the protests we've seen going on over the George Floyd situation. So I thought this would be a great time to kind of get, someone's opinion, their take, their experiences on, how you've been treated. I know I've talked to you about the Alou article. You've read it. Dave read it. I found it absolutely heartbreaking to think that in this day and age, and now this goes back to, I think, the mid-2000s, which is recent enough, that any child, and at 16, let's be real, you think you're running the world, but you're still a child, would have to put up and deal with things like that. And if you haven't read it, I'm not going to get into the meat and potatoes of it. We'll leave that. You can go read that on your own. If you Google Akeem Alou, and that's A-K-I-M, last name A-L-I-U, the article will pop right up. But I just want to kind of get your take, Anwar, on what your personal experience has been here. Now, I'm not asking you to speak for all African-American hockey players, and Dave and I aren't speaking for anybody other than ourselves. So if anybody's listening, these are the thoughts and opinions of the three people here talking. So having thrown out that silly disclaimer, Anwar, just kind of your thoughts. What's your take on the way things are around here in Central Indiana?
Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like generally, my pocket of the world, I grew up going to private schools, I've never been, one of many. So it's kind of a different world for me in general. But, I mean, I think, kind of.
Uh-oh, we're having some internet issues. I think
it's also interesting to hear those.
Anwar, let me step in and interrupt you because your signal's kind of coming in and out. I'm going to ask you to go ahead and start that over again, Anwar, because your frame locked up and we lost your audio.
Yeah, let me see.
Let's try that again. So,
can you see me?
I can't see you, but we can hear you.
Okay, I don't know what's going on.
Okay. So yeah, sorry about that.
For this. Huh?
The hurricane.
Yeah.
Here comes.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, generally for me, being black, playing hockey, I think it's the same as a lot of the other indie stuff, where it's you're kind of one of a few doing a sport, doing generally some of these activities. I remember maybe one of the tournaments, it was interesting. One of the players that we play with came up to me and he was like, "Hey, I showed your picture to this little kid I know," and he was like, "Black people don't play hockey." And I think, that kind of generally depicts it, where it's not a lot. I mean, we all know, ice time's expensive. It's kind of hard for, let's not say minorities, but people of lower income,
right,
to do it. And it's kind of a passed down thing. Your parents skate it, so they'll teach you to skate. Your parents play hockey, so they'll get you involved in hockey. So it's kind of one of those things that I think is kind of depicted by that. And I think kind of looking at a lot of those activities that the Blackhawks are doing here, that by the fuel tank or whatever, by, Bauer, whatever, giving away free gear, trying to get more people involved. I think that's always helpful to get more people into the game at a lower cost. But I think, when the rubber hits the road, it kind of comes down to, that exposure to the game, where it's were your parents taking to the games, were your parents showing you around it? I think as an adult, it's definitely more inclusive. I don't think anyone's really all about like, you know, everybody wants to play hockey. Like that's what we love. I think, you know, as kids, people get a little bit more, what do you call it? Competitive. They get a little bit more angsty, whatever. But I think as an adult, it's kind of a different experience. You know, I feel like, you know, Dave, who I met like probably a year into playing, you know, like everyone who I've met, like on the Highlanders, like we're a different group, I think, you know, who kind of just play for the love of the game. We're not ultra competitive. You know, we went entire, you know, tournaments with losing. So, I mean, you know.
We'll edit that out. We're going to go ahead and edit that part out.
We'll just, that. Edit point, stop, go. Okay, continue.
But yeah, I mean, you know, I think the group that I found playing, you know, I really like. Everyone's really friendly. I think, you know, to some people's point, it's like it kind of depends who you hang out with. Just like it is with everything. Like, you know, you find the right crowd, you like them, you stick with them, you form a tournament team, and it becomes fun, you know. So, I mean, that's my perspective. I know that was a little rambly, but I kind of think it's a lot about, you know, just that exposure in general to the game. And I was fortunate enough, like early on, that my parents exposed me to hockey. They let me do that. They let me kind of do what I want. So I was able to kind of fall in love with hockey early on and kind of maintain that love from, you know, an early age all the way, you know, to being an adult. Like when I went to Cathedral, we like the Indy Ice back when that was a thing, like the high school version, ECHL, not ECHL, but the USHL, whatever the high school
something like
was.
that. Yeah, it was one of the few junior leagues that had teams here in the United States.
Yeah, so those players actually ended up going to Cathedral. So they like were in my classes and stuff. So it's always interesting. Like, you know, I had a bunch of points in my life where I can remember like hockey was like talked about. Hockey was kind of a part of, and I don't think a lot of people have that experience, you know, being Black, having those kind of interactions and seeing just general exposure to the game. So I think I'm definitely a little bit different in that realm.
Just out of curiosity, any of those guys ever go on to make it to the show that you remember from back in the junior hockey days there that you were going to school with?
Yeah, so Sean Corrali, who plays for the Bruins right now, he's like a center for them.
Wow.
When I went to the Winter Classic, I actually saw him play out there, so that was interesting.
That's always kind of neat when you saw somebody that, you know, that you just had some type of relationship with, and all of a sudden they're on the biggest stage, or in this case, at the highest pinnacle of that chosen sport. You said something very interesting, though, that I see this common thread amongst adult hockey players. And again, I can only speak from here what I've experienced here in Central Indiana, but it seems like the group that we kind of play with, and I say we because we all, you know, the three of us are on different teams at different times together. It seems like a lot of us are all people that had the desire to play hockey in our youth, but just it didn't happen for one reason or the other. And it seems like we just have this, I don't know, I don't want to say elevated love and respect for the game, but the game of hockey just has this kind of special place where it's like I kind of get this feeling that nobody wants to do anything to screw it up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I think generally, like, all of us, like, I mean, during this entire, you know, pandemic thing that we're going through, you know, everyone's just like, I want to get back on the ice. Like, that's what we want to do. That's what our love is. It's like, you know, just shooting around. But I think, you know, it's probably slightly different, too. I feel like we're probably the only group that gets together and does Zoom calls at all. Probably, you know, entirely thankful to Dave for that. But, you know, all of us enjoy each other's company. We want to hang out, and we want to do that.
What Anwar is referring to is usually on Friday nights, Dave organizes a Zoom call with all of us. There's our Highlanders group. There's some other folks that eventually everybody ends up with a Highlanders jersey. But eventually at some point, if you run into Dave and you're a hockey player, before the year's out, you'll have a Highlanders jersey and you'll sign up for a tournament. But it's kind of cool. During the pandemic, we have all been getting together on Zoom calls. There'll be anywhere from 6 to 8 or 9 of us on a call. And it's just same stuff we'd be, you know, shooting shit about in the parking lot after a game. It's just no mask. Everybody's doing the comfort of their own home in different states of being dressed. So, you know, you never know for sure what you're going to see. But it's been kind of cool. It's been a way to at least keep some of that camaraderie going while we can't get through the ice.
Right, just as same as when we booze after the parking lot, or after the games, you know, or we call it parking lot. Anwar, I do have a question for you, and it's kind of funny because, like, dude, we're brothers here, and I'm asking you like serious, hard-hitting questions. You know, TJ and I were talking before this, and one of the questions I want to bug you about is, you know, we all jeer each other, you and I especially, because I mean, we push each other, we fight on the ice, we trip each other. I think one time we almost knocked each other out on complete accident. You know, is there, you know, do you ever see a time where people cross the line where like, oh, hey, dude, that's not cool, where, you know, whether it's a league or anything like that? I mean, is there any that comes to mind like that?
I think, I mean, for me, like, other than the one time that the one guy kind of got pissed off about a little bit more action after, you know, the play or whatever, you know, most of the time it's fine. Like, I'm kind of a not too caring kind of person. Like, it's a hockey game at the end of the day. Like, we're all going to go on. I have a day job. I have other stuff to do. So I think generally, like, you know, everyone's cool. Everyone's fun. I think, you know, I play in C2 over in Carmel or whatever. And I think for that, we're a little bit more serious. But at the end of the day, for me, I'm going home. I'm going to go do other stuff. Right. So, you know, that's where it ends up for me.
Right.
You know, that was kind of something I was going to lead to. And I mean, in a sport that really a big part of hockey, for those of you that may not know, a big part of it, hockey, they don't call it trash talking, they call it chirping. And this could be, what makes it even funnier in our league is typically you get into the, you know, the high amateur levels, college, collegiate, pro levels, chirps are going from one team to another. But in our league, it tends to be we chirp the guys on our own team.
Yeah,
which is probably unlike any other sport that I know of, where you're actually calling out the guys on your own team.
Yeah, and especially, I mean, like in Dave's scenario, you know, it was like one of the Fishers games, and I kind of float in and out of that league. So sometimes I'll be on different teams than Dave, or it's like a drop-in, and, you know, we play on Highlanders together, but just like regular season games or whatever, we might be on different ones, and then I mess with Dave. I'm like, fuck you, Dave, or whatever. And,
I was going to say, one time I think Anwar and I are goofing around. I'm sitting on the bench, not paying attention at all. We're in playing another Viper League, which is another league that him and I both play. I think we play on 4 or 5 leagues together, Anwar. And Anwar just shoves my ass over the bench onto the ice. I was so mad because I didn't know what happened. And I just look up and it's Anwar. I'm like, damn it, you just Anwar. I mean, that's that kind of stuff's all in good fun. That's why I asked, you know, anything crosses the line. I mean, you know, all in good fun, but yeah.
Well, and I think sometimes that's it too. The things you could say to your very good friend is not something you would say necessarily to somebody you just met 3 weeks ago. And I don't care what you're saying, even hey, you're an asshole. There's some people in your life you can say that to, and or I'm guessing you probably ain't going to say it to your boss when you go into work tomorrow if you talk to him on the phone. Hey, what's up, asshole? Now you would say it to Dave, you might say it to me, so it carries a different context. So I think sometimes a lot of people forget about that. They don't realize that maybe you better be a little more careful, or at least get to know the people a little better before you start calling them different body parts or what have you.
Right.
Well, folks, I'll tell you what, Dave, is there anything else you want to add to the conversation?
No, it's just good to see both of your faces. Anwar, I saw you on the path. I went on a scooter ride the other day, my daughter and I, and Anwar popped out. So it's good to see both of your faces. And I think we got a 1 week, literally 1 week before we all get back to the ice again.
1 week from yesterday.
So great.
We're recording this on Tuesday evening.
Yep, so very excited. That's it.
Yeah. Anwar, always like to end our interviews with this question. Anyone that's sitting out there listening, and maybe he's got 1 foot on the ice and 1 off, not sure if they want to come try this beer league adult hockey thing. Give me one piece of advice for them and one reason why they should do it. Go.
I don't know advice. Be careful of the blue line would be my advice. It trips. But, you know, I feel like, you know, adult friends wise, like it's a good group of people hang out with. You know, it definitely expanded my friend groups, call a lot of you guys like really close to me. So I think that's definitely good. You know, people to spend time with, hang out with, grab beers, travel, you know, to Chicago that got canceled.
We'll do that again. We got to get that going again.
Yeah.
We, you know, after adding up the total, what that Chicago trip was going to cost, maybe we could just go up there for lunch one day.
Right. Yeah. We go see Rick Bayless. We can go to Rick Bayless and get an entree for $560, $700.
We were gonna get free beers for that though. There was gonna be free beers at that tournament. So
Yeah. And sports drinks.
yeah, the tiny little bottles
Yep.
from Evansville.
The little
Like,
shots.
Yeah, like legitimately shots at Evansville.
Still waiting. Still waiting.
All right, folks. Well, that is going to wrap this thing up. Don't forget to make sure you visit our sponsors. If you are in the market for a new twig, I cannot tell you how happy you're going to be if you take 5 minutes of your life and visit thehockeyarsenal.com. Dave, what's that cool promo code they can use to get the discount?
I want to say it's midlife, all caps.
I believe so, and that's going to get you a 15% discount on any stick, any jersey, any swag they have. I know Anwar has been pinching pennies. I saw him going through the couch the other day looking for change. He's saving up to get a jersey of his own. That's going to be a very exciting day when that happens. And, of course, Anwar, you drive. What kind of car do you drive?
Subaru.
Subaru. Everybody knows Subarus must be properly lubricated. The only place you can get the best deal on your AMSOIL motor oil, Zamboni oil, Razor oil, I don't care what you need oil for, is to visit winningsynthetics.com. Check those two companies out. They support us. Take a few minutes out of your life and support them. And unless anybody else has got anything to say, I am going to say, Kelly, take it away.
You have been listening to the Midlife Hockey Crisis podcast. We'll see you next period.
All right, we are still recording. Stand by. There we go.